Hey, welcome inside Play Bookify followers for what is this? Oh, did we press record? Yes, we did press the record button. I'm still in Los Angeles. Whereabouts are you, Johan?
Portugal today.
Oh, that's pretty good. How's the weather there?
Pretty good. 28
Okay.
degrees or something.
I'm flying back tomorrow night after Survey World, which is here in Santa Monica, and I got a weather warning on my phone for Denver saying snowstorm tomorrow. But right now it is 35 degrees and sun
Oh
in
wow,
Denver.
that's
So
different.
now it's 35 degrees sun. Tomorrow snowstorm.
That's crazy. Do you think
Rocky.
you would be able to fly then?
I hope so. They because usually all the stuff is packed over the Rockies, so then perhaps we can fly around it and still make our way, and we'll see about that. Okay, so I have two tech updates for today. The first one I briefly want to start with is with the great team we have in Brazil. We started with three developers, I think 2.5 months ago.
Yeah.
Um, Great guys, very good team spirit, and the company that's managing that for us is called Cloud Plus Plus. They do this for many companies, so they call this, I believe, Teams as a Service. So instead of you having to do all the HR, you just tell them, I need this kind of people. They bring in a team and they keep doing the HR part for you. And our experience has been fantastic. In fact, so
Yeah.
good that this week we added two more to the team. So now we have five developers. Two are getting up to speed. But it's been remarkable how well that has gone.
Yeah, absolutely. And what do you think about the onboarding of the new two developers? Um, what did we learn from the previous onboarding for the previous the first three developers?
Yeah, yeah. So the previous onboarding, I wrote a playbook, and actually, you know what? I'll share it in the comments. Maybe other Survey developers want to use that, specifically to Survey onboarding. A small introduction video, and then here's some helpful links. So do this first, do this exercise. A bunch of exercises that I made, um, and the first three guys were very successful with it, and they liked it. So we're now running it again with the two new guys. And then there's also some hands-on where the other developers show them bits and pieces. Because even if you do all by yourself, then it's easy to get lost in a. For these guys, Survey is a new platform, so you need to know what it's like flying a new plane. If nobody tells you which button you need to press for takeoff, although you don't press a button for takeoff unless you're in an Airbus. Um, that's not how we fly planes. So yeah, if any of you other SaaS guys needs a team, I can highly recommend Cloud Plus Plus. He's not paying me for this, by the way. We're doing this because we're very satisfied customers.
But not picking our team members. No.
No, no, no. They're not getting our team members. I made sure that Eric promised us don't give away our team members. Um, so a couple of high level observations. First of all, the turnaround was very quick. So for us, we needed to get started. We need to do this quickly. So Eric was able to get people for us lined up very quickly. Second, they have the correct, I would say, mentality. Um, you often run into developers that technically may be correct, but they are, I call them problem finders. They're only looking for problems in the code. This isn't done. This is not the way. This we shouldn't do this. They're always, and they're usually right, but it's not very helpful. Um, the programmers I like, and these three guys are all in that mentality, that mindset. They are problem solvers. So whenever they run into a problem, they're like, "What are the 10 ways we can address this, and how are we going to helpfully help um, our colleague team members?" And I often see them between each other. They'll say, "I'm stuck here. I need some help here," and they jump on the phone. They jump on a Zoom call. So the team spirit is very very good. And last but not least, cost is obviously a factor. As a startup, you don't have millions on the bank, and this is somewhat more cost effective than hiring developers in the Netherlands or in the USA. Um,
Yeah.
and I guess if you're a Dutch company, the time zone could be a bit more of a challenge than it is for me. For me, Brazil is only, I think it's 2 hours off. So I get up at 6 a.m. to do the stand up. Um, I think if anybody of you starts doing remote teams, um, the most important tool you have is your daily stand up. Really, figuring out where are we stuck, how can we help each other. It's good for team bonding, but also for very early signaling that we are stuck and we need to keep going in a different direction, because you don't want to keep trying. Like one of the guys was stuck on the checklist component, and yeah, it's a rather tricky one. You're making the checklist multi-item, but it's still considered as one component. So the UX is fairly difficult to build, and then you run into all kinds of event issues, event handling, because some bits happen client side, some bits happen server side. All the data is binding is on server side, so it's a tricky one to do.
Yeah.
So Cloud Plus highly recommended. Part two,
Yeah,
the
but
technical
maybe can we circle back for a minute to the second point you made
Oh,
about the distinction between two types of developers? I think yeah, that's at least what I've learned in the last couple of weeks. But I also think about it this way. So I think you can categorize them in two groups. Like the first one is input focused. The type of developers input focused, like how many lines of code can I write, or something along those lines. And the second group is more output focused, like what can we deliver today? So how can we get this done as quickly as possible? And I think it's a slightly different, or it's a pretty big difference in approach, and also in the way they are able to deliver new capabilities quickly. So I would say, yeah, look for developers that are more focused on the outcome rather than focused on the input. So I think that's at least how I see it from a bit of the sidelines.
yeah, agreed. So let's cheer for Cloud Plus Plus.
Yes, and the team.
All right, we have
Things
our
are
own
getting
audience here. They're all hidden in the backyard. So part two, let's do a brief technical update. Um, I think the public beta is going reasonably well. Most things seem to work. I still have some strange issues with sharing. Um, in particular, if you share with somebody that already has an account, so I need to go dig into that and make it a reproducible problem. Sometimes we forget that for a developer, it's very hard to debug something if we cannot first make it reproducible and say, if you do this, then this, and this error happens, and then they can really dig into the code and figure out what the problem is. I'm going to work on that today. The biggest change for this sprint was your baby, Johan. Maybe you want to introduce your baby. The many
Yeah, it's
fights
fair
we
to
had
say.
over your baby.
Yeah, it's fair to say that's my baby. Yeah, so in the first version of Playbookify, we had the interface split up in two parts mainly. So the middle part was just a text editor, like writing down how things should be done, or could be done. And the sidebar on the right was or contains all the checklist elements, the form fields like checklist, email widgets, drop down boxes, date pickers, and so on. And early on, we thought that made sense, but over the first, or yeah, basically in the first weeks of having our limited beta, most users, yeah, kind of struggled with the concept of having the two components next to each other. So we created some wireframes where the content was displayed in line. So you don't have two parts next to each other anymore, but all content is in line. So either the text you want to have in your playbook, plus all the form fields you want to have in the playbook are just showed in one section vertically. So, and I think that's the first shift, but that also came with the second challenge, and that was the shift from a classic text editor to a block editor. I think nowadays we see more and more block editors. For instance, if you build a WordPress website, you may be familiar with the Gutenberg editor, but yeah, also a lot of other more modern tools, I would say, are using block editors. But now we had a challenge to combine either the block editor plus all the different form fields as separate components, all in one middle element. So I think that was the challenge that we gave our development team,
Yeah.
and I'm starting to see some first drafts, but I also noticed that there are a few challenges still. So yeah, maybe you can explain
Yeah.
what's hard about it.
The well, my first reaction when you came up with this a few weeks ago is that's an incredible amount of work, like months and months and months of work to do that. But as we progressed and got a lot more items in the sidebar, I think relatively quickly, the checkbox, then the field, then the long field, then the date field, then the email widget. There's like 7 or 8 now. Then I thought, well, all we really have to do is make the sidebar the middle, and then make the HTML component just to field an object like the field is already. So after some brainstorming with Johan, our senior guy in Brazil, we figured out it's not that much of work. So that went a lot. I mean, I think the first version was done by Jean in like 2 or 3 days. It was very very quick.
Yeah.
Um, but there are some challenges. Yeah, the main one is the HTML editor is a fairly rich and heavy component. So if you're now going to put, maybe people are going to put like 20 of them on the same screen, then your page will have some interesting memory issues. I think I haven't tried it. Those are all things we still have to go through. Then the other one is the resizing. Ideally you want it to resize based on actual content that you create in it, and that's not supported out of the box in the Servoy. What we use is called the Servoy Smart Document Editor, but underlying that is a pretty standard component named CK Editor, and we have seen instances of the CK Editor that have automatic resizing parts. So now we're in discussion with Servoy if they can port that into the component, because if Servoy ports into the component, then it saves us work and particular maintenance towards the future. But if we branch off, then we now have to maintain our own component. And one of the reasons we're using Servoy is that we don't have to build our own components all the time, because it's a lot more work. So we don't want to just give that up. So hopefully one of the Servoy specialists is looking into it, and he can come up with the auto sizing solution. And the other challenge is going to be printing, because now you have to print across a series of components, and you want them to sort of size and resize and move up and down properly. So that's going to be a challenge as well. And then the other one is, what do we do with the toolbar? I think for now we show it as soon as you click into the field, and then when you click out, we hide it. But that may need some UX. I don't think that was the original design you made, not, Johan?
No, I think usually with the block editors, the text controls, if you will, they appear when you select a certain word or text, and now the toolbar is shown as soon as you select the whole component.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that maybe for our MVP block editor it might work, but I think yeah, we should definitely find a way to get it more user friendly.
Right.
And I think the CK editor already does that, but probably within another component. Isn't that the balloon editor or something like that?
Yeah, I think there are different versions of it. Yeah,
Yeah.
we should probably set up a call with. I think on the servo side, Rene is a specialist of the component. Maybe we should set up a call with him and then talk him through it.
Yeah. Yeah, I would love to hear more about the possibilities and how
Yeah,
fast we can implement the block editor as it's designed.
yeah, good idea. All right. Well, I think that's really the key for the tech update. If you haven't tested the beta yet, then please do so and send us some feedback, good and bad. We can handle it.
Hopefully.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, when I train software guys, I always tell them, don't fall in love with your software because it ain't gonna love you back.
What a wise lesson, Jan. What a wise lesson.
A lot of developers have, well, most people on the world have problems with sunk cost. But with code, you have to realize as soon as you've written a line of code, it is sunk cost, and you should be able to be ready to delete it. And even we're now 3 months into development, we have already deleted a whole bunch of code that we've written, and then decided no, we need to do this better or different. And then that is part of proper coding is don't fall in love with your code and be able to throw it away if a better solution has come up. All right.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm curious. Anybody watching this, if you have ideas and thoughts on the block editor, maybe Johan, you can post a link to the XD below so people can see what our idea is, where we want to go to, and then I can post a screenshot of where we are underneath it, so you can see that we're not there yet, but we're halfway.
Yeah, sure. We'll do it.
All right. Enjoy the weather in Portugal. I'm going to head to. Actually, I'm going to fly a little bit with Johan, other Johan, the lead Servoy developer. So maybe halfway, I'll ask him to write some functions for us or throw them out of the plane.
Somewhere around between Santa Monica and Catalina Island or something like that.
Write the CK editor so it does what we do, or get out of the plane.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Don't forget to bring your GoPro and hit record when you're doing this.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah. All right. Right, guys. We'll talk to you later and in the comments.
Thanks, guys. Ciao.